everybody, and welcome back to Movie Files. Elliot here with a brand new Netflix review, and this time is for the film directed by Joe Berlinger. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile, streaming now on Netflix. And in this review, guys, I'm going to dive into the good, the bad, give you my score of this film, and then since it is on Netflix, and if you guys don't know, I have my own playlist exclusively for Netflix movies and shows. I'm going to put that there, which, by the way, our review for the docuseries that came out earlier this year will be in the description below, so you can see my thoughts on that docuseries. But with that being said, I'm going to let you guys know if it is ultimately worth streaming on Netflix this weekend. But before we do those things and dive into those topics, I want you guys to do me a couple favors. Number one, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. We have a channel filled with not only Netflix reviews, but big movie reviews. We talk about our favorite shows. We break down the latest trailers. We do unboxing videos for new releases, and we also do giveaways to show our appreciation to you all. So definitely subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with our reviews, shows, all that fun stuff. And then number two, do me a favor, guys, and start your commenting now. This is a review that I really want to dive deep into in regards to what you guys thought about the film, but also, did you see the docuseries? Were you excited for this movie? What did you think of the performances? Let me know in the comments below, guys. But with that being said, let's jump into this review for Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Alrighty, guys, so this is going to be a little bit different review because this, I always say this is a non-spoiler review. This is a spoiler review. This movie is based on true events, so I am not going to really dive into the things that I didn't really know about the story because, again, guys, I watched that docuseries that came out earlier this year. Really good series. Again, that review is in the description below, but, I knew a lot of the stuff that I was getting into in this film, but there was a lot of surprises that I really didn't know too much about in regards to Liz's character and her personal relationship with people outside of Ted Bundy. So I will stay away from integral parts of the movie, but I'll also kind of state the facts that happen in real life. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with the positives as I always do, and I got to start off with the people that were behind and in front of the camera. Number one, Joe Berlinger. Again, this guy has been diving deep into one of the most violent, most disturbing characters or people in human history in Ted Bundy. He's really been, again, diving deep into the docuseries and then jump into a film. I know this man's head just has to be all over the place. But anyway, I thought for the most part, Joe did a good job of separating the two. When you're directing documentaries, that's a completely different animal than directing a film. Number one, if you're a good documentary leaves the opinion in the viewer's eyes. Now, sometimes you can kind of tell a narrative and you can see kind of what the director is trying to say, but in the most part, it's like, do you think this person did it? Do you think, this, that, and the third? And this, obviously, Ted Bundy did these crimes, but, the way he constructed that was just really well done. So transition into a film, for the most part, I thought that Joe did a good job of constructing a good narrative with some good performances, some really good directing. So I really enjoyed his directing style in this film. Now kind of transitioning to the people in front of the camera. Again, we have, being played by, Ted Bundy being played by Zac Efron and Liz Kendall being played by Lily Collins, who are our two main leads. They were really solid, and particularly for me, they were really not only solid, but great in the second and third act. The first act, and we'll get into negatives, not so much, but for the most part, I thought Zac Efron portrayed this awful human being, Ted Bundy, really well. Again, you're going to see this in my positives, but the second and third act really is when the film focuses in the movie. And his performance when he's on trial was great. Again, they do this thing towards the end of the film, at the very end, I should say, where they give you, the title cards, like what happened to these people in real life, and they showed you the real footage of Ted Bundy, which again, I saw a lot of that footage in the docuseries I saw, but again, you can see the mannerisms of Ted Bundy and the way he said things and the way he carried himself, and Zac Efron did that to the teeth. He was spot on. Really great job by Zac Efron. Digressing here a little bit, I'm a fan of Zac Efron for the most part. I think he has really good comedic chops. I think he has some really good drama moments and drama, and I really have to commend him for this performance. It was probably my favorite Zac Efron performance in his career so far. So definitely kudos to him. Can't leave out Lily Collins. I've been really following her career. She hasn't really been in big movies, but you always see her, and I always think she gives a really solid performance. And again, going back to the second act, I really think that her performance really shines really in that second and third act when she has to live with the repercussions and just thinking of the things that she had on her shoulder, the fact that she was dating this man for so many years, and not only put her life at risk, but her daughter's life at risk. So I thought she portrayed that really well, in particular in that second and third act. And again, we have some really other good performances with John Malkovich, who played the judge. There were some other characters that we get in this film. We get another really solid performance by Kayla Scariario. I know I butchered that last name, but I remember seeing her in the Maze Runner series. She plays Carol Ann Boone, and I thought, man, she was great in this performance. Again, the second act, she really gets to shine. And in particular, just narratively speaking, she wasn't really in the first half of the film, but really got more shine in the second. She did a great job with the screen time she got. And just across the board, all the performances were really pretty solid. But like I said, there were some standouts between Zac Efron, Lily Collins, Kayla, as well as John Malkovich were really solid in this movie for me. As I was breaking down the characters and the directing and all that stuff, I had mentioned a couple times the second and third act are really when the story picks up, and I'm going to kind of get into it here. The first act, and I'll talk about it in my negative, was a little uneven, but really when Ted Bundy is going through his trial, because again, the way this story is being told, Lily Collins and Zac Efron really don't spend that much. They spend screen time together, but they're not really interacting as much as you thought from the trailers. And I thought that the second act, when we see Zac Efron in the trial, and then Lily Collins portraying, Liz, I thought that when they were separated, that's when they really had enough time to really shine. And their interaction with other people outside of them too, I thought was really great. But really, to me, this is where the film makes its appeal, is where the director was able to say, okay, I now want to focus on this aspect of what was going on. And I really think that the director had a hold on the story more so in the second, third act than he does in the first. And that's really where the story picks up for me. And I was really, really invested in these characters, and I thought the performances were great, in particular that second and third act. Jumping into the negatives, and I took some notes while watching this movie, so I'm going to kind of skim through a couple things because I don't want to make this video 20 minutes long. But that first act, guys, for me was really, really, really uneven. From the edits of the movie to the way scenes played out, like at moments in the first act, it seemed like I was watching a melodrama mixed in with like a live stage play. The relationship between Liz and her best friend, like there was this scene when they were at the table, and it was just like, is this like a real scene in the movie? Like, it was just not that well played out for me. There was moments where I thought they could have took a serious tone, and really, because really the biggest issue I have with this film was this movie is in the perspective of Liz, Liz Kendall. This is from her POV. And the second act and third act really do a better job at it. But the first act is just like, where is the transition? Because again, without giving too much away, the first act, she's like, okay, Ted Bundy, I love him. We're going to have this family. He didn't do these crimes. But then we see like like from one scene to the next, she's like completely opposite. And where did that transition take place? When did she really notice that this guy is evil? When, that she wasn't on board to support him anymore? I didn't see that moment. And if you did see it, it was like very like subtly hinted at and really wasn't dove deep into. Like she has a confrontation with her friend and it just kind of cuts to the next scene. And that goes back to, again, like I said, the first act just has some really weird edits, score choices where, like, again, I know they're in the 70s and they're playing to the nostalgia of that, but it was this one scene I could think of where we see Liz having a conversation with her coworker who plays a pivotal role, who's the Joel from Sixth Sense, a little kid. They have a scene at this the lunch table, and he's like, "Hey, the New Year's is coming up, blah blah blah. What are some things that you want to do differently this year, and what are some things you want to let go of?" And she has mentions to him, I want to let go. Can I do both? Because obviously she's dealing with Ted Bundy, he's going through the trials, and I thought that was a really good moment. But then they cut to some weird scene of Ted trying to do something in the jail. I won't go into all that stuff. And then they cut in this weird music. Again, long story short, guys, the first act to me was like really bad. I'm not going to lie. It was like borderline terrible in my eyes. But then we hit the switch in that second and third act that really makes it up for me. But literally, guys, for me, and I have a list of like nitpicking things that I was just like, what is going on for this first act? But when I look at this list, the biggest thing was for me was the director did not have a sense of what he wanted to do in my eyes. Did he want to focus on Liz? How does she feel about Ted Bundy and loving this evil man? Does she believe her friends? Does she believe the media? And then it's like, what is Ted Bundy doing? It's like he's doing all these events, and it's just like, you don't want to glorify him, which I definitely do not want to do, but it's just like, what are you trying to do with his character? Like, he was just doing scenes. Like, you didn't know his headspace. He was just doing things. So really, and again, the long story short, the first act was not good in my opinion. And then once we get into that second, third act, that's when I really thought the movie shined. Alright, so wrapping up this review, as you can see from my negatives, I did not enjoy the first act, but the second and third act really do a good job, guys. And that's where I'm coming up with this 3.8 out of 5 score. I do recommend you guys stream it on Netflix and you know, give it a watch. I prefer, now these are two different mediums in a sense. I preferred the way he told the narrative in the documentary. I thought he just handled it better. But with that still being said, guys, 3.8 out of 5. I recommend it. Again, I thought that the performances were great in the second act by Zac Efron and Lily Collins and Kayla and John Malkovich. And again, I thought they had a lot of things to do, and they really dove deep into these characters in the second act. I don't know if that was a matter of how they shot the film, where it was like everything that I didn't like was like shot with the characters kind of getting to know each other, kind of learn their characters, and then by the second, third act, they're living in these characters, so they know who they are. They've got their mannerisms. They kind of know what they're trying to tell. So I think the second, third act saved this movie, because if it wasn't because of the second, third act, I would have hated this movie, to be honest with you. So I didn't hate it. I actually enjoyed it. 3.8 out of 5. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this movie. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, if you disagree with me on the first act, or you disagree with me thinking that the second and third act were not that good and the first act was great, let me know in the comments. That's what the comments section is for, guys. So definitely give this video a thumbs up. Share this video. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell to stay updated with our content. Definitely follow us on all of our social media accounts. Keep an eye out for some more content coming pretty soon. Thank you guys for watching this review, and we'll see you on the next video.